Nike's new CEO, Elliott Hill, is set to replace John Donahoe in less than a month. Hill is tasked with restoring order to the sports apparel giant after a pretty tumultuous few years. Joining us right now is Peter Atwater. He's a behavioral economist at William & Mary. He's also the author of The Confidence Map. And first up, Peter, why don't you just lay out what happened here? You know, Donahoe came in, he was a board member at Nike, came in and was tasked with making this a more digital brand, finding ways to be direct to consumer. He did that very well, and it was kind of perfectly timed with COVID when people weren't shopping out and about. But since then, it's been a very different story.
Yeah, I mean, what he delivered for 2021 was perfect. I mean, direct to consumer, you know, grab it and go, to put it in Starbucks terms. The challenge now is that the client is demanding, you know, omni-channel. It needs to be both an experience brand as well as a, you know, deliberate sort of Home Depot brand. And I think its challenges are quite similar to what we're seeing at Starbucks. And I don't think organizations can be all things to all people. I also think it's quite interesting that here we are in a golden era of sports, and you have both Nike and Under Armour replacing their CEOs because they are unable to deliver, despite what should be a huge tailwind to athletic wear and to sports overall. And I think he faces a third challenge, which is that while he may have the CEO title, what is clear at Nike, like at so many other organizations, is that power rests elsewhere. And whether it's Mark Parker or Phil Knight, wow, he is going to be subordinate.
Peter, I'm just going to push back on that a little bit. I think this is one of those examples, is it not, where there was a failure, unfortunately, at the top of this company. You can look at the stock price. You can see what happened with the business. You could talk to people in the business, around the business, at Nike, and the critique was real and demonstrable. Shareholders were unhappy. I think there was a real potential for activist shareholders to attempt to approach the company and do other things, and they decided to make a move. I'm not sure this is some kind of Howard Schultz situation. Though in those cases, too, there was failures at the top.
Yeah, I don't disagree that there's been failure. You know, Donahoe was the right guy for acceleration. He's not the right guy in a troubled environment and as an outside consultant.
But didn't he create the troubled environment part? I mean, that's the conundrum here.
Oh, I think he contributed to it. You know, consultants have no good rep with the rank and file. You know, they're constantly making change. And to me, he was the wrong guy post 2021. But I don't think that bringing back a longtime veteran is necessarily Nike's solution. You can't go backwards to restore the past at the same time you're trying to be innovative for the future.
I don't know. He may be just the person. And I look at things a little differently. If I look at this situation, it seems like this is kind of what they need. The pendulum swung too far with going direct to consumer. They need to get back to basics. They've got the direct to consumer, can hold that, but they really need to improve what they were doing with their partners. I look at him as having a much easier task than if you look at Boeing. You know, when Nike made this announcement, there were huge kind of applause, it was reported, among the troops back at headquarters. If you look at Boeing, Kelly Ortberg comes in. He's got a mess that he's got to deal with from not just the last CEO, but the CEO before him, long-term problems that are there. And he is not winning hearts and minds because he's dealing with strike immediately. Managed to tick off the entire 30,000 employees in Seattle and shut down operations. So it just seems like if you've got an easier road, that would be it than what you're facing with at a company like Boeing.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you there. I think these are two very different situations in terms of the relative vulnerability of employees, customers, shareholders, debtors. I mean, these are very different stories. The issue that I think that Mr. Hill is going to face is how do you keep people happy about the fact that he is a long-term insider, and make the change that is necessary to take this company forward.
But Peter,
And
isn't the problem with what happened an innovation product story at Nike? And isn't that what Nike was all about? And isn't that what he had done at the company? I mean, that's the part you seem to be very critical of this of the new CEO, as if it's going back in time. Back in time, take some of the direct-to-consumer piece out of it. This was one of the most innovative, product-centric, fabulous marketing companies in the world. And over time, one of the things that anybody inside Nike or outside Nike will tell you is that, unfortunately, the focus on product and product innovation and all of the component parts of that got lost.
Yeah, all I'll tell you, Andrew, is you can't go back to before. And we keep seeing this with corporations. I think we have what I call Brokeback Boardroom. We keep going back to these great performers of the past, and we can't quit them. And the issue to me is business goes forward, culture goes forward. And, we have a failure at Nike. Donahoe was 4 years into his tenure, and there was no successor ready to take the seat. I mean, that to me is a failure that is being overlooked in this.
So you think it's going to be a short honeymoon period?
I think this is going to be a very short honeymoon period. And I think that the organization has to be prepared that if mood doesn't improve, Nike is going to continue to struggle as it tries to figure out how it tries to be all things to all people.